Star Wars is an American epic space opera media franchise centered on a film series created by George Lucas. It depicts the adventures of characters a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. The project includes 8 movies, animated series, TV shows, books, comics, computer video games, goods, clothes, toys, and other products what are created within the framework of the expanded universe. The expanded universe is world building, which is the fundamental transmedium of the project. The title of the first film, The Star Wars, was recorded in the American Film Companies Association on 1st August 1971. The origin story of the saga is the release of the book about Episode 4, New Hope, in 1976. The first film Star Wars was released on May 25, in 1977. He received the name New Hope after the success at movie rental. After that, the continuation of the trilogy The Empire Strikes Back in 1980 and The Return of the Jedi in 1983. Original trilogy was reworked and released in re-rolling with the addition of special effects and computer graphics. In 1997, the movie Star Wars Episode 1 The Hidden Menace, which became a new trilogy, a prequel of the original. Then 2002, the film Star Wars Episode 2 Attack the Clones, and 2005, Star Wars Episode 3 Revenge of the Sith. The Star Wars sequel trilogy is the first set on 3 films in the Star Wars franchise. The first installment, Star Wars The Force Awakens, was released in December 2015. Star Wars The Last Jedi was released in December 2017. The third and final installment is scheduled to be released in December 2019. In April 2015, Lucasfilm and Kennedy announced that the standalone films would be referred to as the Star Wars Anthology films. Rogue One, A Star Wars Story in 2016, as the first is anthology series of films separate from the main episodic saga. The second film, Solo, A Star Wars Story, was released on May 25 in 2018. The still yet to be titled the third film will be based on Boba Fett and will be released in 2020. Also, under the authorship of George Lucas, there were TV movies: Star Wars The Adventures of Ewoks, The Ewoks The Battle of Endor, Ewoks The Battle for Endor. From 2008 to 2015, the animated series Main to Canonical History was released, Star Wars The Clone Wars, and from 2014, Star Wars Rebels, Droids, The Clone Wars, Echo Key, The Droids, The Circular Paths, also scheduled for the release of the game series Star Wars Another World. The commercialization of video games began in 1982 with the release of Star Wars The Empire Strikes Back, simulation shooters, role-playing video games, RTS games, as well as gamers for console PS3, PSP, PS2, Xbox and other. The most sold game are the LEGO Star Wars in the Battlefront series. The first figures with the characters of Star Wars were released to the premiere of the film. Also, Star Wars was the first intellectual property received by the LEGO Group. The company released Star Wars LEGO products as well as parody animated short films to promote its products. For example, The Revenge of Brick. In 1977, the board game Escape from the Death Star was released. Also were released Risk, the adaptation of the series by Hasbro in 2005 and 2006. 3 desktop role-playing games developed for the Star Wars universe were published by West End Games in the 18th and 19th. The Wizards of the Coast and Fantasy Flight games in 2000s and 2010s, respectively. In 1976, the first book Star Wars appeared, the novelization of New Hope, which written by Alan Dean Foster. With the development of the film, new books began to appear. In 1978, Alan Dean Foster published a novel under his own authorship, A Shard of the Crystal of Power. In January 1978, the Marvel Comics based on the Star Wars began to appear. Star Wars Universe was created in 1987, then the scenarios for role-playing games based on Star Wars began to go out. The publisher of West End Games took more information about the story and characters, so scriptwriters developed guidebooks for the universe. These materials later formed the basis for the publication of books produced by the publishing house Bantam Spectra. The development of the expanded universe was initiated by Timothy Zach's novel The Heir of the Empire, which was released in 1989, and one of the foundations of the canon was series of comic books Dark Empire, published by publishing house Dark Horse. The G-Canon. The canon of George Lucas, 6 episodes and everything what Lucas submitted directly to himself, including unpublished comments from the filmmakers himself and the film crew who were never shown to the public. The T-Canon is the television canon. It includes the animated film Star Wars: The Clone Wars and the self-titled animated television series. The C-Canon, the canon of integrity, consisting of all the new works and many old ones, released under the Star Wars label, books, comic books, games, cartoons, video films, and other, that link the time periods between the G-Canon and the T-Canon. The S-Canon, secondary canon, materials used or ignored by the authors dependent on the situation. This includes mostly old works, for example many comics of the Marvel Star Wars series released before attempts at maintaining integrity. The N-Canon, non-canonical works, alternative stories, and everything what directly contradicts the elements of higher canons. Only the N-Canons was not accepted as canonical by Lucasfilm. A new era of project began when the animated series The Clone Wars released in 2008. Earlier, George Lucas did not involved the process of making extensions, but this animated series produced by the Lucasfilm creators. The completion of the expanded universe was when Disney bought the Lucasfilm on April 25 in 2014. It was annunciated that the canons of the expanded universe were becoming legends, that is, non-canons.